Greetings, all you zombots out there. I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I'm back with another Sonic the Hedgehog by IDW issue review. This time it's issue 23, titled The Last Minute, Part 3. Now, I have absolutely loved this form of storytelling. The various different cuts in between different events all happening at the same time. We've gone and seen what's been going on with Tails. We've seen what's been going on with Amy. And now we're peeking in on what's going on with Sonic. And each in their own way, they are suffering. Loss, casualties, mayhem. Things are just going wrong in every single way possible. And it's a morbid delight to watch. Ian Flynn has really crafted a very compelling story with this, and I have loved every second of it because of the desperate situation our heroes find themselves in. I love the idea of just this race against the clock to stop this unstoppable virus, but that's enough gushing. Let's get into the actual story as we open up with Sonic running towards Barrier Town. He's trying to process some data, with his running and how he's able to fight off the disease. Data is supposed to be being sent to Tails in order for him to get the information he needs in order to hopefully find a cure. But we know from the previous issues that that unfortunately will not be the case, as Tails ultimately ends up losing all of that data, because, his laboratory ends up being broken into because of various zombots. He loses the data, he loses the tornado, he loses a lot in this process. Link to that above. And as Sonic makes his way towards Barrier Town, he sees a very familiar shape in the distance, namely Dr. Eggman as well as Dr. Starline. Now, Starline is very intent on finding some way to control the Zombot hordes, but Eggman is very blasé about the whole thing. He's not about control, he's about the destruction. And we are really playing that up in this series. Now, because ultimately it's true. Eggman never really has a good contingency plan for things. That's why Sonic usually wins. It's not just because of Sonic's capabilities, it's because Eggman is just too much of a man-child to see things through fully. And unfortunately, Starline is learning that the hard way. And even when Eggman suggests, hey, maybe we should use your warp topaz for something, we see Starline's character in this. He's just like, look, I found this thing. It was unstable as all get out. Doing anything beyond what I use it for could have catastrophic results. So we see that Starline likes contingencies. He likes planning. He likes being careful. He doesn't like going beyond the realms of what he knows he can do. And that's smart. That's a very smart and capable scientist right there, which is continues the breakdown between Starline and Eggman, because Eggman doesn't care about restriction. He just loves the science, the devastation of it all. He's about letting science run wild, whereas Starline is all about having that control. And I'm really loving this dynamic because Starline has so quickly gone from an Eggman fanboy to an Eggman criticizer. But that's how fans be sometime. They're then interrupted by Sonic arriving on the scene, who pretty much begs Eggman to find some cure. And not just that, he also just kind of questions, why did you stop being Mr. Tinkerer? It seemed like you were content with that life. And during a very, you know, interesting moment, Eggman considers that. considers a more peaceful life. Something more humble, something more simple. I love this scene because it shows that there's this layer in Eggman that you don't really get to see too often. Yes, from time to time we see it in the games that he's not completely a monster. But remember, this is a guy who tried to, blow up a city in order to get Eggman Land. He flooded a city. He blew up half of the moon. Eggman has done some really terrorist stuff in the past. So, that's always the juxtaposition. Eggman's a silly goof, but he's also a terrorist. So, what can you do? But the usual fight ensues as Eggman says that, oh, well, yeah, there's nothing I can do. You're just gonna be one of my Zombot slaves. A fight ensues, and Starline kind of just circles through everything he's kind of gone through up until this point in order to finally get to Eggman and be by his side. He kind of questioned Neo Metal Sonic's whole plan because it seemed very half baked, half cocked. There wasn't a complete range of thought when it came to it, and he realizes that's just the creator. No, that's just Eggman. There is no greater thought beyond just causing mayhem, devastation, conquest. There's nothing more to Eggman's thought processes beyond the here and now. For someone with such a high IQ, it's so weird to think that he's so short sighted in everything. But as the fight between Sonic and Eggman ensues and goes on, Sonic starts to taunt and try to touch him with the virus, bringing them both down to the Zombot hordes. However, because Dr. Starline manages to find a frequency to control the Zombot hordes, they end up ganging up on Sonic himself. But Sonic is having none of that and destroys the egg pod containing the frequency to control the hordes in order to keep it away from Eggman. And with the Zombots being in a full on frenzy, they try to go after the doctors, who just barely manage to escape, with Eggman just kind of being like, whatever, he'll just let them do their thing. But it's just like, Eggman, dude, you gotta think about the long run in all of this. Something that Starline is all too happy to figure out. And we actually get to see Sonic almost fully undergoing zombotization because of all the zombots he's come into contact with, all the standing around he's just been doing, which actually causes the virus to accelerate. Sonic is just having a really bad day, so he has to run it off. That's all he can really do. Only for him to get bad news from AIM. He, well, um, yeah, that Restoration HQ has fallen, the Zombots destroyed Tails' lab, and the only place else that he can really go is to Tangle's hometown to help with the evacuation. Sonic is just not having a great time in all of this. He keeps losing left and right. There's no cure, there's no help, there's no progression in terms of actually finding any way around this situation. It just keeps getting worse, especially now that the Deadly Six of the Lost Hex have become involved, with them scheming with Dr. Starline, with Starline coming to them to use them as a way of controlling the Zombot hordes, and the Deadly Six pose as willing servants of Dr. Eggman, with the full intention of betraying them, destroying Starline and Eggman, and taking over the Earth. But where it would seem that Starline was being very short-sighted, much like his master, in truth, he had a contingency for all of that. He read the Deadly Six's files and, knows all about their traitorous needs, their wants. How they would turn on Eggman at the drop of the hat, and which they'll definitely be turning on him as well. So, Dr. Starline has a contingency, namely the conch, which controls the Deadly Six in their actions. With this, Starline controls the Deadly Six. The Deadly Six control the Zombat hordes. And Eggman reigns supreme? Or will it be Starline who will show Eggman how you do it? I love this. I love all these wheels within wheels within wheels within wheels. I love the crafting of this story because it just goes to show, like, honestly speaking, this could be a very simple story. Zombies? Come on, it's been done to death. But the way that the story is flowing, how characters are reacting, the way the story is being crafted and shown to us. That's what makes it so special. That's what actually gives this story legs because we're seeing the emotions of the various characters. We're seeing how everyone reacts to this situation, how they deal with this situation, and the losses they suffer, the emotion. There it is. That's the key. Emotion. Make me feel something. And that is what we're seeing here. There's emotion, there's drive. We're wondering. We know Sonic's gonna get out of this. It's Sonic. Of course he is. But you wonder how he's gonna do it. How many more of his friends will be lost before he finally finds a way? And what is the way to solve this? What is the way around this situation? That's the intrigue behind it all. Just wanting to know more about where we're going in this story. And that's what makes a good story. Make your audience want more. Even if it's a cliched story, you can still make it good by making it so that the audience is engaged with what's going on. But I've run off at the mouth all too much. I've sung the praises of this comic far too much for one day, so I'll have to leave it for another day with the next issue, The Battle on Spiral Hill Village, which, it's gonna be wild. Getting Tangle and all that up into the mix. Ooh, I can't wait, especially after their miniseries is wrapping up. But until then, please subscribe, bell, whatever you feel like doing. It's your life. But I want to see you in the next video, so please join me, will you? So that we can enjoy more of IDW's Sonic the Hedgehog. Until then, bye-bye.